Hi, this is the chapter 3, building an e-commerce presence. In this chapter, we're gonna study the questions you must ask and answer, and the step you should take in developing an e-commerce presence. And also, we're gonna study the process that should be followed in building an e-commerce presence. And then we're gonna identify and understand the major considerations involved in choosing web server and e-commerce merchants server software. And also, we're gonna study the issues involved in choosing the most appropriate hardware for an e-commerce site. And then we're gonna study additional tools that can improve website performance. And then we're going to study the important considerations involved in developing a mobile website and building mobile application. The Financial Times, a remodel for 21st century publishing profitability class discussion. What are the Financial Times objectives in redesigning its e-commerce presence? What consideration, if any, unique to the newspaper business were involved? What did the Financial Times do to meet the needs of mobile device users? We're gonna study this class discussion with our colleague and then talk about the result. Imagine your e-commerce presence. What's the idea? The vision include mission statement, target audience, intended market space, strategic analysis, marketing metrics, and then build development timeline, and also preliminary budget. Where's the money? Business model, revenue model, who and where is the target audience, demographic, lifestyle, consumption pattern, and etc. What is the ballpark? Characterize the marketplace, size, growth, demographics, structure. Where's the contents coming from? Know yourself SWOT analysis, developing an e-commerce presence map, develop a timeline, milestone. How much will this cost? Simple website, up to 5,000 US dollar. Small startup, 25,000 to 50,000 US dollar. Large corporate website, 100,000 plus to millions dollars. So before you begin to build a website or application of your own, there are some important questions you will need to think about and answer. The answer to this question will drive the development and implementation of your e-commerce presence. What's the idea? Before you can plan and actually build an e-commerce presence, you need to have a vision of what you hope to accomplish and how you hope to accomplish it. Where's the money, business, and revenue model? Once you have defined a mission statement, a vision, you need to start thinking about where the money will be coming from. You will need to develop a preliminary idea of your business and revenue model. Who and where is the target audience? Without a clear understanding of your target audience, you will not have a successful e-commerce presence. There are two questions here. Who is your target audience and where can you best reach them? Your target audience can be described in a number of ways. Demographic, behavior pattern, current consumption pattern, digital usage pattern, content creation preference, and buyer personas. What is the ballpark? Characterize the marketplace. The chance of your success will depend greatly on the characteristic of the market you are about to enter, and not just on your entrepreneurial brilliance. Enter into a declining market filled with a strong competitor, and you will multiply your chances of failure. Enter into a market that is emerging, growing, and has few competitors, and you stand better chances. Where's the content coming from? Websites are like books. They are composed of a lot of pages that have contents ranging from text to graphic, photos, and videos. This content is what search engine catalog as they crawl through all the new and changed web pages on the internet. Know yourself. Conduct a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is a simple but powerful method for strategizing about your business and understanding where you should focus your effort. In a SWOT analysis, you describe your strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat. In the example SWOT analysis, you will see a profit of a typical startup venture that includes a unique approach to an existing market, a promise of addressing unmet need in this market, and the use of newer technology that older competitors may have overlooked. Develop an e-commerce presence map. E-commerce has moved from being a PC-centric activity on the web to a mobile and tablet-based activity as well. While around 70% of e-commerce retail and travel revenue are still generated by purchases made from a desktop computer, increasingly smartphone and tablet are being used for purchasing. Develop a timeline, milestones. Where would you like to be a year from now? It's a good idea for you to have a rough idea of the time frame for developing your e-commerce presence when you begin. You should break your project down into a small number of phases that could be completed within a specified time. How much will this cost? It's too early in the process to develop a detailed budget for your e-commerce presence, but it is a good time to develop a preliminary idea of the cost involved. How much you spend on a website, for instance, depends on what you want it to do. Figure 3-1 SWOT analysis. Strengths. Current site do not address market needs. Unique approach is navigation, better personalization, customer base growing, high value market segment, superior social strategy. Weakness. Limited financial resources, no prior online experience, no existing user base, no media attention, no web design expertise, no computer background. Opportunity. Ability to address large market with unmet needs. Potential to capture significant share of this market. Potential to develop related site. Threat. Approach could be copied by competitor. Advertisers may not want to try a new site. Rapid pace of technological development, low market entry cost. Figure 3-2, e-commerce presence map. An e-commerce presence requires firm to consider the 4 different kinds of presence and the platform and activities associated with each type of presence. Full description, a diagram map, the activity and platform associated with each type of presence. There are 4 types of presence and it has a platform and activity. The first type of presence, website or application, uses a traditional desktop, mobile, and tablet platform. Activity include search, display, affiliate, and sponsorship. The second type of presence, social media, uses Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and blog as a platform. Activity include conversation, engagement, sharing, and advice. The third type of presence, email, uses internal list and purchased list as a platform. Activities include newsletter, update, and sale. The first type of presence, offline media, uses print, TV, and radio as a platform. Activity include education, exposure, and branding. Build an e-commerce site, a systematic approach. Most important management challenges, developing a clear understanding of business objectives, knowing how to choose the right technology to achieve those objectives. Main factor to consider: management, hardware architecture, software, design, telecommunications, human resources. Planning the system development lifecycle. Methodology for understanding business objectives of a system and designing an appropriate solution. 5 major steps: system analysis, planning, system design, building the system, testing, implementation. Figure 3.5, System Development Life Cycle. Full description of flow diagram shows the system development life cycle. The loop follows the following loop: system analysis and planning, reading to system design, reading to building the system, reading to testing, and finally reading to implementation service delivery. After this step, the process again loops back to the system analysis and planning stage. Best practices listed below are continuous availability 99% plus, design for scalability, building management for end-to-end delivery, plan for growth, design pages for high-speed performance, understand and optimize workload on system. System analysis planning. Business objectives, list of capability you want your site to have, system functionality, list of information system capability needed to achieve business objectives, information requirement, information element that system must produce in order to achieve business objectives. In the system analysis planning step of system development lifecycle, you try to answer the question: what do we want this e-commerce site or application to do for our business? The key point is to let the business decision drive the technology, not the reverse. This will ensure that your technology platform is aligned with your business. We will assume here that you have identified a business strategy and chosen a business model to achieve your strategic objectives. Table 3.2, System Analysis, Business Objectives, System Functionality, and Information Requirement for a typical e-commerce site. You can see Table 3.2. 3.2 describes some basic business objectives, system functionality, and information requirement for a typical e-commerce site. As shown in the table, there are 10 basic business objectives that an e-commerce site must deliver. These objectives must be translated into a description of system functionalities and ultimately into a set of precise information requirement. The specific information requirement for a system typically are defined in much greater detail than Table 3.2 indicate. To a large extent, the business objectives of an e-commerce site are not that different from those of an ordinary retail store. The real difference lies in the system functionality and information requirement. In an e-commerce site, the business objective must be provided entirely in digital form without fielding or salespeople 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Also, Table 3.2 system analysis, business objective, system functionality, and information requirement for a typical e-commerce site. System design, hardware and software platform. System design specification, description of main component of a system and their relationship to one another. Two components of system design, logical design, data flow diagram, processing function, databases. Physical design specifies actual physical software component, models, and so forth. Figure 3.6, a logical design for a simple website. Figure 3.6, a present a data flow diagram for a simple high-level logical design for a very basic website that delivers catalog page in hypertext markup language in response to hypertext transfer protocol request from the client browser, while figures 3.6b shows the corresponding physical design. Each of the main process can be broken down into low-level design that are much more precise in identifying exactly how the information flows and what equipment is involved. Actually, a logical design includes a data flow diagram that describes the flow of information in your e-commerce site, the processing function that must be performed, and the databases that will be used. The logical design also includes a description of the security and emergency backup procedure that will be instituted and the control that will be used in the system. A physical design translates the logical design into physical component. For instance, the physical design details the specific model of server to be purchased, the software to be used, the size of telecommunication link that will be required, the way the system will be backed up and protected from outsider, and so on. Figure 3.6b, physical design for a simple website. You can see there are IBM WebSphere e-commerce suite Oracle SQL database, ad server, online catalog, mail server, shopping cart. The image of simple physical design shows the following. Customer connect from mobile phone, smartphone, or desktop to internet through a cable, DSL, T1 satellite, cellular, or Wi-Fi. Your firm's website connect to the internet through cable or wires, and your firms and hardware needed are HP or Dell web server and 5 terabyte or storage. Software needed are Oracle SQL database, IBM WebSphere e-commerce suite, ad server, online catalog, mail server, and shopping cart. Building the system in-house versus outsourcing. Outsourcing, hiring vendor to provide service involved in building side. Build own versus outsourcing. Build your own requires team with diverse skill set. Choice of software tool, both risk and possible benefit. Host own versus outsourcing. Hosting company responsible for ensure site is accessible 24 hours 7 days for monthly fee. Co-location, firm purchases or leases web server with control over its operation, but server is located at vendor's facility. Figure 3.7, choices in building and hosting. Hosting the site, building the site. Hosting the site in-house, also building the site in-house, completely in-house building hosting. Hosting the site outsource, and then building the site in-house, mixed responsibility, build in-house, host outsourcing. And then hosting the site in-house, building the site outsource, mixed responsibility, build out, host in-house. And then completely outsource, build outsource, hosting outsourcing. Insight on Business Week. Weebly makes creating website easy. Class discussion. What value does Weebly offer to small business? Are there any drawbacks to use Weebly to create an e-commerce presence? How are service providers like Weebly change the nature of e-commerce? As you know, with so many big companies dominating the e-commerce, you may wonder if there are chance for the little guy anymore. The answer is yes. There are still billions left in potential online retail sales with additional money to be made from advertising revenue. In fact, there's an e-commerce trend going on that nearly rivals the dot-com era, with one exception. The startup has access to cheap technology and social media that can provide inexpensive marketing and sales. Founded in year 2007 by Penn State graduate David Luzenko, Chris Fanini, and Dan Beltri. We will provide templates that allow entrepreneur and small and medium-sized business to create their own website with a full suite of features including blog, online store, and mobile compatibility. So we're gonna discuss with our colleague in our classroom, and then also talk about the result. Testing the system. Testing. Unit testing, system testing, acceptance testing, A/B testing, split testing, multivariate testing. Once the system has been built and programmed, you will have to engage in a testing process. Depending on the size of the system, this could be fairly difficult and lengthy. Testing is required whether the system is outsourced or built-in house. A complex e-commerce site can have thousands of pathways through the site, each of which must be documented and then tested. Unit testing involves testing the site program module one at a time. System testing involves testing the site as a whole. In the same way, a typical user would when using the site, because there is no truly typical user. System testing requires that every conceivable path be tested. Final acceptance testing requires that the firm's key personnel and managers in marketing, production, sales, and general management actually use the system as installed on a test internet or intranet server. This acceptance test verifies the business objective of the system as originally conceived are in fact working. A/B testing or split testing is the testing involves showing two versions of web page or website to different users to see which one performs better. There are several different types of testing that can be used for a website design project. A template test compares the same general page contents using two different layouts and or design treatment. A new concept test compares a control page with one that is very different. A funnel test compares the flow through a series of pages to see which one result in a higher percentage of conversions. Multivariate testing is a much more sophisticated form of testing than A/B testing. Multivariate testing involves identifying specific element or variable on a web page, such as a headline, image, button, and text, creating versions for each element, and then creating a unique combination of each element and version to test. So for example, if there are 3 elements and 2 versions of each, there will be 8 possible combination 2 by 2 by 2 equal 8 to test. When used correctly, multivariate testing enable designer to identify the most optimal layout, color, contents, and format. Implementation, maintenance, and optimization. System breakdown unpredictably. Maintenance is ongoing. Maintenance cost similar to development cost. 40,000 e-commerce site may require $40,000 annually to upkeep. And benchmarking. Benchmarking is a process in which the site is compared with those of a competitor in terms of response speed, quality of layout, and design. Figure 3.10 factors in website optimization. Website optimization requires that you consider 3 factors: page contents, page generation, and page delivery. Full description and image depict factors in optimizing website performance. There are 3 factors in website optimization along with the following item pertaining to each factor. First, page delivery, which include content delivery network, caching, and bandwidth. Second, page generation, which include server response time, device-based accelerators, efficient resource allocation, resource utilization threshold, and monitoring site performance. The third factor, page content, include optimized HTML, optimized image, site architecture, and efficient page style. Alternative web development methodology: prototyping, agile development, DevOps, component-based development, web service. Actually, we studied this database methodologies. So actually I will explain briefly. Prototyping consists of building a simple model rapidly and expansively to test the concept or process. And then the initial prototype can be iteratively refined based on the feedback until it is satisfy user requirement. Agile development breaks down a large project into a series of smaller sub-projects that are completed in short period of time using iteration and continuous feedback. Improvement or addition of new functionality takes place within the next iteration as developer clarify requirement. DevOps also build an agile development principle as an organizational strategy to create a culture and environment that further promote rapid and agile development practice. DevOps stands for development and operation and emphasizes close collaboration between the developer who create applications and the operational step that learn and maintain the application. Component-based development takes advantage of functionality offered by object-oriented programming tool. So component-based development enables a system to be built by assembling and integrating various software components that already have been assembled and which provide command functions such as a user interface or online ordering capability. Web services are loosely coupled, reusable software components using extensible markup language and other open protocol and standards that enable one application to communicate with another with no custom programming required to share data and services. Simple versus multi-tier website architecture. System architecture, arrangement of software, machinery, and tasks in an information system needed to achieve a specific functionality. Two-tier architecture, web server and database server. Multi-tier architecture, web application server, backend, legacy database. You can see figure 3.11a two-tier e-commerce site architecture. A two-tier architecture. In a two-tier architecture, a web server responds to request for web page and database server provide backend data storage. Image illustrate two-tier architecture. The image shows a user who send request for page to a web server. The web server send the request to a content management / database server. The content management / database server send the request page back to the web server, which then send them back to the user. And then figure 3.11b multi-tier e-commerce site architecture. Multi-tier architecture, physical design describe the hardware and software needed to realize the local design. In a multi-tier architecture, a web server is linked to a middle tier layer that typically includes a series of application servers that platform specific tasks as well as to a backend layer of existing corporate system. An image illustrates multi-tier architecture. In a multi-tier architecture, there are three layers. The web server layer consists of web server that receive incoming internet requests. The middle tier layer consists of e-commerce server, application server, database server, ad server, and mail server. The backend layer consists of corporate application, finance, production, MRP, enterprise system, and HR system. The incoming internet requests are sent by web server to the middle tier layer, from the middle tier layer to the backend layer, from the backend layer back to the middle tier layer, and from the middle tier layer back to the web server layer. So this is the chapter 3-1 class. We're gonna continue chapter 3-2.